What you and I going to do when moments of life-changing importance and monumental impact come in our life. Both you and I know we're given just a few. And when they come, they demand boldness, they demand power, they demand decisiveness. But if we hesitate, if we keep ignoring them, life forces us to choose anyway. And here's the thing, if we are not prepared, we are doomed to lose fight after fight, battle after battle, and miss victory after victory. Today, I will teach you the only two ingredients you and I need so that we can avoid feeling, thinking, and act weak. Keep believing in ourselves and lead our life with courage and power. And so we will radically change the way most people react when life tests their source of power that we all need, want, and deserve. And I will do that by sharing a story, a marvelous story. It's a beautiful story. And the hero of this story is a man like you and me. What do I mean by that? The hero wasn't born ready, but something happened in the hero's and his life that helped him to accomplish his mission victoriously. Something that set him on this path. And during this story, I will share with you those two ingredients that helped the hero to accomplish and to reach the destination. But before I share with you this story, I want you will never forget this story. I promise you that. You will never forget it. Before I share with you this story, I want you to think about something. Imagine or think about a person in your life. We all have a person like this. Someone that you admire deeply, someone that you truly respect. And maybe also a thought crossed your mind that you wanted to become a little bit or more like that person's, a model that you try to model, where you're looking up to, it's dear to your heart and close to your mind. So think about that person now, right? Good. Now forgive my boldness. Imagine that person dies. Because that is what happened to the hero of our story, of the story that I will share with you. This story is about Joshua, and the man that he was looking up to is Moses. And so this story begins. And this story is separated in 5 stages so that you can understand it and remember it. At the 3rd and the 4th stage, I will share with you those 2 ingredients that will completely change your life. So, are you ready? So let me welcome you at Exploraself, Master Wisdom and Leadership for Business and Life. My name is Alexandr, and today together we will do a shift, a radical change in our life. And you'll see that. If you can go through this masterclass and you're also ready to take some notes, that is going to be amazing, because I'm going to have some questions for you. So you want to write some conclusions, so that you never forget those 2 ingredients which are going to set you on this victorious path. It changed my life, and I know and believe it will change yours. What we experience emotionally and intellectually does not define our true selves. Rather, they mirror our perceptions of who we believe we are or who we have the potential to become. It ultimately hinges on whether you believe in your capacity for change and growth. So let's try today to let behind those perceptions, those ideas which are keeping us weak. Because today is the moment you are going to change. You're going to change it. And if you are going to embrace it, then you're going to be on your own journey, the hero's journey. And today's journey, I've said it in these 5 stages. The number 1, the tower has fallen, the humble hero, the great hope, the man on a mission, and the new life. I can't wait to share with you this story. All right. So the tower has fallen. I told you about Joshua. So if we open the book of Joshua, then we can see in the chapter 1, verse 2. the Lord spoke to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' servant, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. The power and the courage that we can have, they're always connected to a source. They're connected to someone that somehow was there in our life. And we forget sometimes that the journey that we are going to be on starts not when we ask for it. It just happens. And sometimes it happens in our life that something happens dramatic. Maybe we have a failure in our business, where you make a bad decision, or maybe you get sick, or you lose someone dear in your life. So something always happens. And most of people, they look at this moment with so much pain. And we have to allow ourselves to go through mourning and through that pain. But that moment is the moment when we are born, when we start to realize that that person or that source is not there anymore. Something that we were trying to model isn't there. And comes the moment when we're not ready, that forces us to start leading our life with power. And here's the thing, that sometimes we want it, but we're not expecting it. And when it happens, it surprises us. And we feel small, we feel weak. So the first thing that I want to share with you is this. Nothing stays the same. The expectation that life shouldn't change because I don't want to change. The thing that you want to look at is the self-centeredness or the comfort or the neediness. This is the first thing. These are not the ingredients yet. We'll get to them. But this is an expectation that sometimes blocks us and keeps us weak. We expect that things should always stay the same, that things should always go good, that things should always go well. And we don't want these moments which are forcing us to generate and to reborn, to reshape our identity, and to realize that you are on your path. And if we do not come fully to this realization that you are by yourself, you're going to have people or friends that are going to support you, but you are in charge. And when we maintain this connection to that model or to someone that was there to support us or to inspire us, we want that comfort. So this is the first thing that I want you to pay a little bit more attention. Are you a little bit too much self-centered? Or maybe you are so in that comfort zone? Or maybe this neediness of having always someone to guide you, someone always to tell you what to do. And I know that we're adults, we're serious people, and we're leading our life, but it still happens sometimes that in my experience, that in the background, there is that voice, that perception, that idea that there should always be like this and people should support me, or that there is always going to be someone that you can look up to. It's time to transform that moment, that painful moment, in a moment of reinventing our identity and to start making the steps that we have to make for ourselves. The second step is the humble hero. Now, after we go through that moment of pain, or through that radical change, or through that loss, now we're by ourselves, and we start to think like, oh my God, how I'm going to do, and that's not easy. And maybe you're starting your business. Maybe you have already started your business, and you've learned, you've studied, you had a mentor. Maybe somebody is teaching you, is helping you, but here's one thing that we sometimes forget, that modeling is learning, learning is serving, and serving is leading. Here's the second thing. These are not the ingredients. The ingredients I'm going to share with you at the third and fourth stage. But I want you to understand that you're also are on your path. You and I, we are on our path. We grow, we detach from what was there for us before. And when we want to make the first steps, we sometimes have this expectation that we have to be as good as that person that we were modeling. My suggestion to you is this. If you want to be on this victorious path, if you want to accomplish great things, serve someone. If you already don't have somebody to model or to follow, start serving someone for whom you can already be a model. There is always someone that would be happy and would gladly receive your leadership or will receive your insights. Start serving someone. As you can look at Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' servant. So right at that moment when Moses dies, that we have this mention, is the verse 1 and verse 2, that Joshua was the Moses servant. So if you want to set yourself on this victorious path and accomplish great things and avoid feeling or thinking that you are weak or you're not ready, start serving. After you realize that the tower has fallen, next step, start serving someone. That will allow you to grow. The humble hero. And the expectation that sometimes don't allow us to grow is, I'm too good to model someone. This grandeur or this juggling big ideas. Because it's one thing to have your mentor beside, and you feel more empowered and you feel more supported and you feel, oh, I'm ready. But when you're truly on your own, of course, doubts come in your life, in your head, in your heart, and you start to, oh my God, how am I going to do? And if this expectation of, I thought I'm ready. Yes, you are ready, but be humble. The humble hero starts with humility, serving others. Before you reach a higher level, start serving that you already can help right now. And avoid having this grandeur, this megalomaniac feeling that I should, or I deserve to be there, those are the highs that I'm aiming, and that's great to have a great vision, a big dream, and to see yourself powerful. But sometimes these contrasts, I'm sure you've been through these sensations, through these feelings when from one side you feel powerful, you feel so ready to smash and conquer the world, but at the same time, like, I'm gonna do that. I don't know. That's normal. That's absolutely normal. But avoid this too big thinking about that you are already ready to conquer the world. Be on that mission, but start small. Start serving someone that is already there, needing maybe your help, so that you can already be there for someone. They were there so that you can be here. Rather than criticizing, start changing. I observe this very often, that when somebody's at the beginning of accomplishing great things, building your business, they want to make everything perfect. And I've been there, everybody been there, and probably you're there too. And you want everything to be just amazing, and you want to maybe do even better than the person that taught you or that you're trying to model. You want to to be even greater than them. That's great. That's amazing. I'm with you on that. I'm the same. I want to do better than those who taught me or mentoring me, because this is the reborning process, and that's great. But rather than criticizing, start changing. Do better step by step, maintaining that humility, serving those who are already there, waiting for you to help them, to guide them. That will allow you to accomplish great things. All right. So we are getting ready to those ingredients. Now, the promise and the hope. The promise and the hope. This is the third stage on the hero's journey. What is that? In the Joshua chapter 1, verse 5. No, just as I have been with Moses, I will be with you. I will not fail you or forsake you. When you are on your path, when you start to accomplish great things, when you start building great things, the need of somebody to support you is great. And sometimes we're lucky to have someone to support us. But very often, you find yourself alone. You find yourself by yourself facing all these challenges, and you really need, sometimes you maybe need just a word from someone that will support you. Some of us are lucky to have a person like that in our life. Some of us are not. If that's you, God says, this is not a man's voice. God tells you, I will not fail you or forsake you. Let's not forget that voice, that hope that is in the back of your head telling you, go forward. Everything is going to be all right. Move forward. The fear is big. The anxiety is great. Do not allow yourself to be so needy for someone to support you. Sometimes we're lucky, we have them, but if your situation is that you have to do it by yourself, remember God's words. I will not fail you. I will not forsake you. Nothing in the world can be more powerful than this promise. And you have that voice within you. I'm sure you have that voice in your head is always there, that you expect that everything is going to be all right. Somehow I'm going to get through. It comes from your Creator. Do not ignore it. Do not forget it. The expectation is, I have to understand it before I believe it. And here's the danger that might be present there that keeps me and you weak sometimes, rather than leading our life with courage and power. I'm too smart to believe it. We have that voice, we have that power that's boiling in the back of our head or at the bottom of our heart. But we say, I need some proofs. I want to somehow to understand it, so then I'll be able to believe it. Do not go on that slippery path. That will keep you weak. If you want to understand it before you believe it, that will keep you weak, because the mind is like a butterfly. It changes. So whatever you put in your mind, and the mind changes, so that if first you believe it, then you will understand it when you believe it. Your inner voice can be mental or spiritual. So here is one thing, and we're approaching those two ingredients that I promised to share with you. That voice, the inner voice, one can be mental, the other one is spiritual. The abstract versus practical. Now, what are these practical and abstract? The one is courage, and the other one is strength. The courage to make a decision, the courage to jump on a path, the courage to start to be on your mission towards your destination is abstract. You don't have proofs why you should have this courage. But there is something happening within you. You have this desire, you have this dream, you have this force, this call that is calling you to move forward. That is courage. That is spiritual. Now you have the strength. The strength is you've made a step, then you make another step, and then another step, and then another step, another step. Then you start to have some little proofs, mental proofs. When you look backward and you say, oh, I've accomplished this, I accomplished that. Probably I'm ready to make a bigger step. So this is a conclusion, is a mental conclusion. There is where you regenerate and you reprocreate this strength. But you always need the courage, and the courage is abstract. The courage is not, let me think the courage. No, you just somehow, and we'll see how, you have to allow yourself to be courageous. And there is a formula to it. Now, let's see how is this formula. But before we look to those two ingredients, because we're very close, you have to believe it. You have to believe it to understand it. Do not allow yourself to always try to understand if I'm courageous enough or not. How can I generate courage? Courage is abstract. Now, it is very connected to the strength. One feeds the other, and that's where we're going right now. The fourth stage on the hero's journey, on your path, on my path, we all go through these stages. The man on a mission. If you look at the book of Joshua, the verse 6, that's how the verse starts. God tells Joshua, after God promised to Joshua, I will not fail you or forsake you. Here's one thing I want to add here. Of course, God knows that we will stumble. God already knows that we will be fearful. God already knows that we don't feel ready. God already knows that we are going to lack courage, or that we are going to see ourselves in this lack of strength. God already knows that. Now, before God gives the formula, God said, I will not fail you. I will not fail you or forsake you. So this is a very interesting approach. God promises first, and then we'll tell you how. But first, we have this promise given to us. God will not fail you. God will not forsake you. Now then, we have this formula. That's how the verse 6 starts. Be strong and courageous. And the verse goes on. The verse 7 starts with, only be strong and very courageous. That's very interesting. After God told Joshua, be strong and courageous, then he goes, I don't want to confuse you with too much information. Then there are 2 more words added to the same instruction. Only be strong. It seems that God has a sense of humor, and God says, He didn't say that, but let's look at it through this perspective. I told you to be strong and courageous, but I also said other things. And maybe Joshua, maybe you were busy, maybe you had to pay bills, you had to manage your army, you had like a king, you have things to do, and you're very busy. I know that. So let me simplify it, and to make it a little bit simpler. Only be strong and very courageous. This is amazing. Between all those things that I also added after I told you to be strong and courageous, let me just make it clear. Only be strong and courageous, and everything is going to be fine. I will take care of everything else. I will take care of how you're going to fight, when are you going to win, and when you will have to move forward and when you will have to stop. I will take care of that. On you is only be strong and very courageous. This is amazing. This is so inspiring. Courage is not enough. Very courageous would do. These are the 2 ingredients, and we're very close to it. Courage and strength. And that would be amazing. You would say, that's very interesting. Of course, I would like to be more courageous and very strong. But how? One feeds the other. The more courage you have, the bolder decisions you make. The bolder decisions you make, the more strength you need. The more strength you have, the more courageous you become. The strength and the courage goes hand in hand. One feeds the other. When you are more courageous and you say, what if I could try to accomplish that goal in the next 3 months or in the following 6 months? That would be great, but I don't have the strength. I might allow myself to have the courage to imagine it, but I don't have the strength. If you simply allow yourself to be a little bit more courageous and you make the decision upon that courage that you have now, very soon you'll gain the strength that you need so that after you can be even more courageous. Some people want to have more strength without being more courageous. You have to be courageous if you want to become stronger. Never forget these 2 things. If you want more strength, apply and act upon the courage that you already have. Accomplish it. That will give you the strength that you need to be even more courageous. Then you become more courageous. The more courageous you are, then the bolder the decisions. The bolder the decisions, the more strength you have after you accomplish it and act upon that courage. This is fascinating. This is fascinating because it is just blowing my mind. Now look at the verse 9. Now this is really funny. After we read in the verse 6 and 7, the verse 6 was, be strong and courageous. The verse 7, only be strong and very courageous. Now we have the verse 9. God told Joshua, have I not commanded you be strong and courageous? I told you to be strong and courageous. Then I told you to be strong and very courageous. And then God tells other things to Joshua. But after 2 verses, God says, let me make sure you're not busy building things online. You're not busy. Joshua didn't do anything online, but let's try to create an analogy in our situation. I know you have a family to feed. I know you have to go to work. I know you have to lead your team. I know you have a business. I know you have to do so many other things. I know you're busy. God knows that. God knows that you are busy and you're trying to accomplish and you lack strength and you don't have enough courage. God already knows that. That's why God makes sure in the verse 9 and tells Joshua, have I not commanded you? Just to make sure that between all those things that I've also added and promised to you, and between all the tasks that you're busy accomplishing during the day, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Now, if we keep reading, then we see the rest of that verse. Do not tremble or be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Not just here and there, wherever you go. Isn't this amazing? If this is not giving you the formula for ever avoid feeling weak or thinking weak or acting weak, because we have the only 2 things. And what's amazing, that these 2 ingredients, one builds the other, and the strength builds the courage, and the courage helps to increase your strength. That's an amazing formula. So the journey starts with the tower has fallen. You had someone that you wanted to follow, you wanted to model, and you were looking up to someone, but then something happens. They disappear, they go, they move forward. Or maybe you go on another path where you want to make something better. Then the humble hero. How is that? You start serving with what you have, with the expertise that you have, with that knowledge that you have, especially if you're a coach, if you're an expert and you're teaching online, you want to share your knowledge and your expertise with others. And you have great ambition, you have a great vision. Sometimes because we forget to serve those which are already there waiting for you to serve them with the knowledge that you have, because you forget about it, that keeps you and I weak. Because we don't train the courage so that we can build the strength that we need. And we are holding these, both of them, the courage and the strength, low, waiting for that moment when I'm going to have more courage so that I can build more strength. It doesn't work this way. More courage gives strength. More strength will allow you to have more courage with the promise that you already have. I will not fail you, God says. I will not forsake you. And this is the 5th stage of our hero's journey. Your journey, my journey. We all start somewhere. The 5th stage of this journey is, don't forget who gives you the strength and courage if you want it with you wherever you go. Do not detach, do not fail or forsake God. As God told you, I will not fail you, I will not forsake you. I will be with you wherever you go. Just don't forget it, because forgetting it is relying on, let me first understand it, and then I will try somehow to believe it. No, it goes the other way. We first have the promise. Here's how it works. If you want to accomplish greater things and bigger things in your life, here's how it goes. First, you have the God's promise, which you have to believe it. Then God gives you the formula, what to do step by step, and then you will understand it, and you will say, wow, that's why God told me, only be strong and very courageous. And the promise was before the formula, and the promise is, I will not fail you. God tells Joshua, I will not forsake you. I will not fail you or forsake you. First, you have the promise. You have to believe it. Then you're given the formula of what to do. So then you can understand it and say, wow, that's amazing. First, believe it if you want to understand it, not the other way. Don't forget, be grateful for the trials that shape you for what you're destined to achieve, without getting caught up in what's not even in your sight yet. Just because you can't see it, just because you can't understand it, doesn't mean isn't there. Always remember, the promise is before the formula. And before the promise, something dramatic happens. When you are on your path towards greatness, every single time something that is unpleasant, is painful, you feel abandoned, you feel by yourself, you feel alone, you feel weak and you're doubting yourself, that's absolutely normal. But here's the thing. If you think that that's the moment where God has failed you or forgot about you, no. God wants you to move forward. God wants you to build greater things. God has a destination for you. That's why God will give you someone that you can look up to, an example as a model, but then God will not allow us to stay there in our comfort zone, always having someone that we can look up to, someone that we want to model. Because if we trust our own mind, then we are never ready. So that what does? God cuts those ties and says, that's enough. You gotta move forward. You gotta build your own thing. You gotta accomplish the mission that I prepared for you. And I've been given this great opportunity and this gift in my life, seeing people which were stumbling, which were so insecure, which they had a dream, they had a vision, but they didn't know how to accomplish, and they were by themselves. And every single time when there was a step, a little step, one more step, and I was so amazed, and that's so beautiful to see how someone is victoriously moving forward step after step, trial after trial. Remember one thing, that when God looks upon you and sees you as you start to make these little steps, it's a big party in heaven, and God says, oh, have you seen my servant? Look at this guy. They were not sure, they were afraid, but I promised them that I will not fail them, I will not forsake them. And look, there is my creature, this is my friend on earth, making these little steps, moving forward towards the destination that I prepared for each of them. That's a huge, it's the biggest pleasure for God to see that you are believing His promise and you're following the formula that you are given, and you are more courageous and you have more strength accomplishing that great dream, that great vision that you've set for yourself. Through that voice that you're hearing, through that vision that is boiling right in the back of your head and is telling you, go forward, move forward, move. Don't doubt. Don't wait until you're ready. That's why let's be grateful for those trials, and rather than crying over those moments and going to self-pity, oh my God, I'm not ready, I don't know how, and they are so good, and I would like to accomplish great things, but I don't know how. That's the moment where you have to realize the tower has fallen. Now the humble hero starts to make their own steps moving forward. And do not forget that you need God and God needs you. You need God so that He can help you, He can support you, He can guide you, and God needs you to make those little steps so that His plan can be fulfilled, and that it will give you blessing and also will help God to accomplish His great mission, which we can't fully comprehend or understand, but the moment comes and then we start to realize, oh, that's the greatness that I couldn't see before. Now I have a question for you. What are you going to do now? What is your next powerful move? How are you going to build that strength? Are you going to run away from the courage that is pushing you forward, Are you going to run away from that voice? Are you going to ignore God's promise that He will not fail you nor forsake you? Or are you going to try to understand it first and then to believe that it is possible? What are you going to do now? You maybe want to write it down and make sure that that step, that decision that you were running away, that you were avoiding, keeps you weak. But if you can allow yourself to imagine making that decision, make it with courage and power, with boldness, having the God's promise there for you. I will not fail you nor forsake you. Move forward. And these are the only two things God tells Joshua that Joshua needs. And as Joshua was on his journey, you and I on our own journey, be strong and courageous. Only be strong and very courageous. And as the verse 9 goes, have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? On this note, and with that question in mind, what's your next move? What are you going to do next? I will let you to do your meditation, your reflection, and start realizing that your courage will help you to build your strength. And the stronger you become, the more courageous you are. So then the more powerful and the bolder decisions you can make. If you want to get a look at the Exploraselfmba.com, here's where I will teach you self-mastery, self-growth, and self-leadership. How can you manage what is already within you so that God can give you more responsibility and put you in charge of bigger things, so that you can live full of meaning and being fulfilled on your mission, even if sometimes you don't feel that you are ready. The first step you can take is to take this free program that I prepared for you, Hack Your Mind Before It Hacks You. This is a very deep program that will help you to manage your mind, to take control of your mind, so that you can first believe what is there waiting for you and then to understand it. And never doubting yourself, never stop believing in yourself, because God will be with you wherever you go. Just don't forget His promise. Follow His instructions, and you will be not only happy, but you will be on your mission, and you will run away from being stuck in acting, feeling, thinking weak, because you are not. Take care. God bless you. See you in the next masterclass. Bye-bye.